So Kevin has over 20 years experience in HR, holding a number of very senior roles, and joined OpenReach in February 2016. So today, Kevin will give you some further information about OpenReach and the range of leadership and management roles that they have available. So Kevin, thanks so much for joining us today. I'll hand over to you now and just let us know when you'd like us to move your slides on.
Hopefully everyone can hear me. Esme, I don't know if you can give me a thumbs up, perhaps, if you can let me know that yes, you can. Great. Apologies for that. I'm sitting here oblivious to what was going on in the virtual world. So let me start by saying thank you for inviting me to come along this afternoon to talk to you all. I feel it's a real privilege. I think as an organisation, OpenReach has had a long association with the armed forces, and long may that continue, because we are very proud of our relationship and the large number of employees who work for us who have served in the military, and we continue to build very strong relationships with those partners. I wanted to start really by two things today. Firstly, to share with you a little bit of information about OpenReach, and often when I talk about OpenReach, people say, I think I've heard of it, I'm not sure. Well, you've probably seen us because we've got the second largest fleet of vehicles in the UK, and we actually come into most premises and houses across the UK to serve the services that we provide, broadband for and physical infrastructure for most of the UK. The reason we're called OpenReach is because we have been made independent to BT. So when you think of OpenReach, you often think of BT OpenReach. We're no longer trading with the BT element of that. And that is because as a result of regulation, we are responsible actually for the delivery of broadband and connectivity, not just to BT, but to the vast majority of service providers within the UK. So if you're a customer of Sky, TalkTalk, Vodafone, and 695 other communications partners, then you are one of our customers. So I hope we're delivering good service to you, but perhaps we might find that out as we go through. I also am really proud of, as an organisation, we are transforming not just our business, but the whole of the UK. And you will have seen the pledge from government, and we are working very closely with the government to ensure that we are rolling out full fibre right across the UK over the next decade. And that means that we are investing very heavily, and telecommunications in the UK is an area of real growth. So from a career perspective, if you are looking at sectors and industries that have potential for growth, then telecommunications is one that you should look at, and in particular you should be looking at OpenReach. And I would also have a little plug for BT in the wider context. In terms of our relationship, we have actually employed over the last few years over 2,000 ex-military personnel, and I'm really proud of that. We have fantastic people working in our organisation, doing a variety of roles, from frontline service right through to programme directors. My head of training is ex-military, and I think the relationship between the two, there are a lot of similarities. And that's why we find it a great source of talent to attract people into us. But it's also an organisation that is very appealing to people who are coming out of the armed forces, because we do offer scale and opportunities that many other organisations don't. We also have a reservists. We have over 300 reservists, and in particular the signals that we have, the 81 Squadron within BT, which is predominantly made up of employees within OpenReach. And we also have a very active internal network. Many organisations have diversity networks. One of ours that we're very proud of is our Armed Forces network. The chief exec of OpenReach, Clive Selley, is actually the chair of that network on behalf of the whole of the BT group, and we've got over 1,200 active members in there. So we are very proud of the relationship we have. And that's why if you are looking for opportunities in the future, we would say come and have a look at us, because not only are we a great employer and an organisation that many people from the armed forces join, we also are growing. And in terms of investment, over the next decade, we've already committed to invest over £12 billion in upgrading the digital infrastructure of the UK. So it's a really exciting place to be. Very proud actually of the photo here. We've got the Prime Minister, who came up pre-Christmas and actually launched our most recent recruitment campaign, where we've announced 2,500 new apprenticeships in the UK. And Boris also opened one of our new training schools, and we've got 12 of those dotted around the UK. So we've got a very large regional presence in all four nations within the United Kingdom, and right across the length and breadth of the UK, and we employ people in all organisations. I was also asked to talk a little bit about opportunities, so if you don't mind moving on to the next slide. I think it was worthwhile just sharing with you the opportunities we have within OpenReach. I should also talk in the context of BT, because we've got some obvious areas where we have relationships. We have a very large a team that supports the armed services within the UK, but we also have a very growing security practice, which also attracts a large number of ex-military personnel into that organisation. More specifically, looking at OpenReach, we have a variety of roles. In particular, in terms of the nature of our business, clearly there are people here who work within the signals environment and will have experience of telecommunications. We are a prime recruiter for those kinds of skills, but we also offer opportunities that for a broader skill set, which I think actually appeals to many of our ex-forces people who apply to us, specifically in terms of project and program management. They're clearly key skills that many of you are taught, and are very transferable from the military into the private sector. And I think that's one of the areas where we will continue to grow. And as we roll out our investment program, that is one of the areas where we have been recruiting quite actively in recent months. And I think we'll continue to. So if you've got strong project program management skills, formal qualifications as well, those all help in terms of that transferring from the military into the private sector. We also have a very large supply chain, as I mentioned. We have the second largest fleet. We've got the best part of 25,000 vehicles. We are in the process of converting our fleet over from petrol, and we've committed by 2025 to have our entire fleet cut across into electric vehicles by the mid-2020s. And from that perspective, we have a very large supply chain operation which supports not only OpenReach but also other elements within BT. I think in terms of operational management, again, this is an area where historically we've also recruited quite heavily from the armed forces. We've given career opportunities for people joining at the front line to progress into management roles, but we also have very large operational teams. Typically our teams range from a local patch manager who will have up to 50 team members in their team, up to a regional director who will have the best part of 2,500. So there are large operational teams. Those roles are a little less frequent in terms of coming up, but we have recently recruited into East Anglia, and those opportunities do come up. So again, if you are looking, it is well worth following us on LinkedIn, but also visiting the OpenReach careers website, because as those opportunities come up, if you are interested, they will be available. We also have large transformation, and again, I think many of you will know that this historically has been a good entry point in the sense of the project program management skills, but also change management and the management of large-scale transformation. As you'll find, as it is the case with all the services, life is like a constant change, and therefore the skills that you've acquired during your time in the forces will give you the opportunity to be transferable into those types of jobs. And then finally, I think from a HQ perspective, we also have a number of specialisms, which again, we've found as entry routes in, that there are opportunities for people to move across, whether that's within HR, finance, IT, and strategy. That there are those opportunities that exist. And I would encourage you to keep an eye out as they come, because really, from my perspective as an employer, and as I said, the largest employer, we find the transition at times can be challenging for some, but we think actually the transition across into private sector, if you're joining an organization that recruits lots of ex-military personnel who progress their careers within that organization, I think that makes it attractive for people to move across and join us. So I think they were the key points I wanted to call out. I think my final message is, it can be daunting as you step out from a military career into the private sector. I would encourage people to be very open-minded in terms of what opportunities may exist. Make sure you're clear in terms of the transferable skills, because actually what I do find when I interview, that at times you can almost undersell your skills, because there is a sort of, you take it for granted, but the training that you have had over many years, the leadership capability that is ingrained in you is very transferable into the private sector. And therefore, hopefully, if you are making that transition, or if you are looking for roles, as a large scale employer in the UK, we are keen to attract the best talent. So I think they were the key points that I wanted to call out. I'm conscious that we will be opening up for questions. I don't know if there are any questions in advance, and I'm not sure whether my volume is working or not.
Yeah, so just to check firstly, Kevin, can you actually hear me? I'm taking that as a no. So
no, I can't hear you, I'm afraid.
Okay, so we have had a couple of questions come in, so I'll type them in the box for Kevin.
And this is really difficult. I'm sorry I can't hear you, and I'm not quite sure what's going on. So I think first question is advice for getting your foot in the door, and values, culture, and skills of OpenReach, particularly what you look for. I think at the moment the market is quite challenged, all right, and I think everybody recognises that within the UK. The economy is impacted by COVID, and therefore there are lots of sectors that have contracted. But I would also say that a large number of employers are actually making investments and beginning to see the green shoots coming through. I think clearly there is the need to use there is the need to use your networks in terms of, if you have existing contacts. We do have an internal referrals program, so often that can be a useful source of getting your foot in the door. I think looking at your CV and contemplating the key strengths, and I know there's a lot of support that goes in to help individuals as they come out of the services with that transition. And I think just be realistic in terms of the type of role. So in terms of seniority, it may be a case of finding an entry point that allows you to move across into the private sector, and that will allow you to grow. And often it is the case that in terms of seniority, it may not be as senior role. The pay may be similar, and therefore that gives you an opportunity to step forward from there. So hopefully that makes sense. And of course it's difficult for me without getting feedback. So hopefully that's the question we're asked. I think John Wilkinson, sorry to ask the question from earlier, but are there project management qualifications that OpenReach prefer? Yeah, I think in terms of project management, we have lots of, there are many different techniques. I think in terms of PMQ and DPM, they are the fairly standard industry wide. So that is, I think the thing I would suggest, John, to add in terms of agile, what you are discovering is an area, in particular in BT at the moment, as we transform and as we develop our new customer journeys, the investment in terms of systems and process design, agile is definitely an area where I would encourage people to look, and that's not unique to BT. Many companies are moving away from traditional waterfall methods to becoming more agile and getting more integrated in terms of their systems development and deployment. So hopefully that answers the question. Thanks, Esme. Has COVID impacted recruitment for OpenReach, particularly at senior managerial level? Yes, it's in particular last summer. I think it's fair to say none of us really knew how the business was going to be impacted. We tightened our controls around recruitment last year, so I think actually there were less opportunities. We paused, certainly in terms of our managerial recruitment, we put a lot of that on hold. I'm pleased to say through the sort of late summer onwards, we've reopened up our recruitment, which is really good. We have also changed the way we recruit, and if you think about interview panels over time, we really do typically, face-to-face is a key part of the recruitment journey. In the past, we've changed quite a lot, and particularly in our volume areas, we use online video now for initial screening, and we moved all of our assessment centre activities to virtual. So it's actually one of those changes which I think if we'd thought about in advance, we may have said it won't be as good as doing things face to face. Actually, what we've discovered is we've seen no drop in quality in terms of the candidates coming through. So much more the virtual world is the direction of travel that we're working on. And I think that's very positive for us, and it's something that we're going to keep going forward. I think in terms of face-to-face, often, as we come out of COVID, I am sure the need for people to meet and talk and make sure the chemistry right will continue. But I think, as we all know, with the exception of this one-way video, where I can't get any feedback, I think you do recognise that actually the use of technology has really helped, and has maintained many of us. There's given us lots of opportunities to carry on interviewing almost in the real world. So not necessarily needing for people to come together. I think the other thing that I would say is we've also seen that, I see it in the sector that there is because there are fewer opportunities, in some respects the standards have gone up somewhat, and we launched our volume recruitment at Christmas, and we had over 25,000 applications in 4 weeks, and that was without any national TV advertising or anything. It was very much through LinkedIn and Indeed. So we do recognise that the virtual world has actually helped. Right, I think I've got some other messages coming through. I hope this is landing for people, and I do apologise. What is the career progression like within OpenReach? Is there opportunities for personal development, training and promotion? Simple answer is yes. It very much depends on the entry role, the role you come into. If I start with our volume recruitment, basically we're not looking for any prerequisites in terms of skill. So we are looking for attitude and the ability for people to learn and prepared to work outside, and who are great with customers. So we're looking very much about interpersonal skills, and we literally take people from day one, put them through a 12-week training program, give them the core skills, and then allow them out with buddies to begin to deliver. If I go into management, I think we are in the process of, again, dependent on the role, we continue to invest. We've got a very large amount of online content. We use LinkedIn Learning for delivering a lot of that. But it's very much about the support the individual gets, the opportunity for personal development growth. And I think if you were to join a large organisation like OpenReach or BT or another, I think trying to navigate your career, what you will discover is that people are prepared to take opportunities on individuals based on what they deliver. And from my own experience, it is an opportunity if you're in a large organization to perhaps move into an area you wouldn't have previously been considered for if you're looking purely at the CV, because people see that you've got very good program management skills. From that, you may actually run a program in a particular specialism. From that may open up doors for you then to move into that specialism and have the appropriate training to deliver on it. So I think from investment in training, that works really well. In terms of promotion opportunities, as many organizations are, there's been, we've restructured our management teams over the last few years. What we've tried to do is actually create bigger jobs for people, but there are less of those opportunities, but it's an opportunity to develop and grow into those larger opportunities. It's very much personal driven, and therefore, what we'd encourage people is to take control of their own careers. But we have a very active jobs market internally. We advertise all of our roles internally, and really we do try and encourage people to move around and not just sit in the one place. The other thing we are doing, and you'll see if you're looking to move into a more of an office type environment within OpenReach, we're investing heavily in upgrading all of our office estate. Because we've got a very large legacy of nearly 400 plus offices around the UK, we are consolidating into 8 or 9 key ones in major cities. So between London, Birmingham, Liverpool, Cardiff, Bristol, Belfast, and Glasgow and Leeds, we're upgrading all of our office facilities. We're actually acquiring new sites in half of those locations. And the plan being that we will have in those offices between 500 OpenReach employees, and where we're co-located in BT, up to 3,000 to 4,000 employees. And we actually believe that strategy, which we're rolling out over the next 2 to 3 years, will mean there are more career opportunities for people in those geographies to actually move between different parts of the organisation and different parts of the BT group. And I think that's all positive in terms of giving people the opportunity to learn and develop without leaving the organisation. And I think that's going to be pretty key to our strategy going forward.
Fantastic. I know you can't hear me, Kevin, but thank you. I hope the audience had some useful insights from that presentation. Hopefully Kevin can log back in shortly and join us for the next session, which is our final Q&A panel of the day.